Now, have you ever wondered who makes this particular lady behind me who lives in this palace laugh? Yes, good morning. We're talking, of course, about Her Majesty the Queen. Now, way back at the start of royalty, if you were successful, you could be invited to a royal palace to become a court jester. But that's all changed. And what really fascinates a lot of people by a lady who's never been interviewed during her lifetime reign is, of course, who makes Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth actually roar with laughter. Well, the first person that we found out that really tickled the funny bone of Her Majesty the Queen, who was then just a princess, was none other than Lancastrian favourite George Formby, famous of course for strumming his ukulele and starring in a string of hit films in the 1940s and 50s. Now, George was invited to Windsor Castle on numerous occasions simply because not only was Princess Margaret and Princess Elizabeth big fans, but also the Queen, or the Queen Mother as we now know her. And what's really important to note as well, the BBC actually banned some of George Formby's recordings because apparently they were too saucy. The Queen Mother and Princess Elizabeth loftily announced, well, we like him and we play his records all the time here in the palace. That was fabulous endorsement, of course, back then for someone who was already a huge star. But another star that really did make all the royal family laugh was another northerner in the shape of the, well, kind of forgotten Al Reid. Now, Al Reid was a huge radio star back in the 50s. Now, what he was very clever at was basically just painting pages of life. That's basically what he called his act. He related stories through the radio of everyday things like cutting the lawn, the know-all bus conductor, the know-all driving instructor, that sort of thing. And it really did resonate with millions of people. In fact, over 20 million people a week, including the royals behind me here. They thoroughly enjoyed Al Reid, and of course he became a huge star, not just on radio, but in summer seasons and appearing in a Royal Command performance too. That was truly the pinnacle back then. You really knew you made it. But who else made the Queen laugh? She was also a big fan of another radio star called Raise a Laugh, starring Ted Ray. That was a particular favourite every week. They also enjoyed the Billy Carlton Band Show, which was a big music show and featured the wonderful voice of Alan Breeze. But not forgetting, there was someone else that kind of really did tickle the Queen's funny bone. And the thing that really made the Queen thoroughly enjoy herself and take away all the stresses and strains of being a ruling monarch was a major TV show in the 1970s. It starred Richard Bryce and the very delicious Felicity Kendall. It was called The Good Life, and basically it was a green comedy before green had really even been thought of. The Queen loved the show that much that she even paid a special visit to a recording at BBC TV Centre. They put it down as a royal visit, but basically she was a huge fan and wanted to meet the cast. They naturally were thrilled, and the show went from strength to strength. Moving on to more modern day comedy, we do know of late that the Queen does like to relax by watching another Roy Clark favourite, the very brilliant Patricia Routledge in Keeping Up Appearances. And if you want to know what sort of music does Her Majesty the Queen thoroughly enjoy, well, we know for a fact that one of her favourite musicals is Oklahoma. So if you mix all those together and you ever have the opportunity to meet Her Majesty the Queen, remember to drop some of those bon mots in, and perhaps you too could get invited to entertain Her Majesty at the Palace. Neil Sean, Buckingham Palace, London.